Part 21. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 202. Nai Chen. In the past, I always teased the Empress in various ways, but I didn't expect that Chu Qingyu has already started to reverse the offensive and find ways to tease me. I didn't expect that the Empress looked cold, but her teasing methods were not inferior at all. So, I still want to try the strawberry flavor. Nai Chen smiled slightly, suddenly moved closer, and took a bite of the strawberry smoothie in Chu Qingyu's hand at lightning speed. The smoothie was still lightly rouge red at this moment, and even had a little cold residual fragrance. Seeing Nai Chen swallow it in one bite, Chu Qingyu's cheeks flushed. Too much. Nai Chen smiled and said, "My wife, you have kissed me before, why are you still so innocent?" "I don't care." Chu Qingyu blushed and licked the smoothie in Nai Chen's hand again in revenge. Her soft tongue slid across the lavender smoothie and swallowed it into her mouth with a little embarrassment. "Humph, you ate my smoothie and you still want to run away." Nai Chen smiled and quickly counterattacked. "You ate my smoothie again. What's wrong with eating it? Then I will eat it back." So, on the street, Chu Qingyu and Nai Chen took a bite, completely ignoring the smoothies in their own hands, and instead stared at each other's smoothies. Under the colorful neon lights, Chu Qingyu's icy skin was covered with a layer of crimson. Aurora slowly passed by, dyeing her face with a charming drunken red. This face, like a fallen fairy, stunned many pedestrians. More importantly, they have seen people showing off their love, and they have seen people showing off their love on Valentine's Day. But watching the two of them taking a bite, eating each other's smoothies while playing around, the people who witnessed the scene felt as if they had eaten a lemon fruit from a tree. Even if it was Valentine's Day, such a show of love was really too much. "Boss, if you don't understand, can I buy a girlfriend for free?" "Boss, if you buy the smoothies here, can you get a girlfriend like a fairy?" "Boss, why don't you give me one too? I'm going to die from eating dog food." For a while, the smoothie stand that was a little deserted just now was crowded with people, and the voices kept coming. Looking at the scene in front of him, the boss felt a little bit amused. He didn't know whether to thank the fairy couple who just passed by, or to say to this group of people, "What do you want?" Seeing that the smoothies in the hands of the two people were all gone, and they were eating each other's. "You are really..." Finally, Chu Qingyu couldn't help but burst out laughing, and the humming laughter was as pleasant as the sound of a valley, and she laughed for a long time. Feeling a slight pain in her stomach from laughing, Chu Qingyu covered her mouth lightly and slowly stopped. But, looking at Nai Chen, she suddenly noticed that Nai Chen's eyes were staring straight at her. What are you doing with that look?" Chu Qingyu showed a trace of doubt. "Nothing, I just feel that my wife seems to have never smiled like this," Nai Chen said very seriously. Chu Qingyu did rarely smile, and she almost never smiled. But this time, she not only smiled, but also smiled so sweetly. There seemed to be no worries in her smile. In an instant, the Qingyu Empress, who was always cold and aloof, and no one dared to violate her, turned out to be as cute as the girl next door. "Humph, it's all because of you." Chu Qingyu stood on tiptoe with resentment, and gently pressed her fingers on Nai Chen's forehead twice. But soon, she turned her head again, gently held Nai Chen's hand, and her voice was full of shyness. "Keep going, I still want to see what the aurora in the depths looks like." "Yes, my lady Empress." Nai Chen joked like a soldier. "Humph. Follow me." Chu Qingyu had a smile on her face, leaning softly beside Nai Chen. Under the light, two figures were nestled together. In the flowing light, it was as beautiful as a poem or painting. The aurora in the sky was slowly flowing, and there was an endless stream of pedestrians on the street. The atmosphere of Valentine's Day was particularly immersive. Here, It seemed as peaceful as usual, with nothing unusual happening. Strange beast cave is coming. But at this moment, a loud bang suddenly broke this rare tranquility. Then, from the distance of the street, the ground suddenly cracked, and countless cracks spread. With a tremor in the ground, an extremely huge beast broke out from the ground. In an instant, the ground and the rocks were cracked. Accompanied by a terrifying roar, everyone clearly saw a huge shadow coming out of it. It was a huge body made of rocks. As it moved, the huge aftermath turned into dust and surged around. The body made of countless rocks had 6 eyes of different sizes, which were wriggling in the rocks and soil, making people sick. The earth rumbled and trembled, and the horrible bloody smell instantly spread around. In just a moment, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. That's the rock cave, one of the most powerful beasts. Run, run! Someone exclaimed. Then, all the pedestrians who had finally recovered from the shock fled far away. Most of the visitors who came here were monks. They were very fast and had already escaped a long distance under the blessing of magic before the giant monster took action. Seeing that the tourists fled quickly, the street vendors breathed a sigh of relief and quickly took out a grey talisman. This is the secret method passed down from their ancestors for those who live in the Aurora land. This mysterious earth escape technique has been passed down for thousands of years. Only locals can use it, and it is extremely convenient. With just one earth escape talisman, you can disappear with the stalls here and teleport to a place far away from danger. The vendors took out the earth escape talismans they had prepared for a long time without panic. Earth escape. But suddenly, their expressions froze. The earth escape talisman has lost its effect. No, it's not that the earth escape talisman has lost its effect. They looked into the distance in astonishment, and saw that the monster that broke out of the rock and soil had a long yellow earth rope differentiated from its body and pierced deep into the ground. And this long rope was surging with a strange and unpredictable aura, which actually solidified all the land within a radius of dozens of miles, completely limiting the effect of the earth escape talisman. Without the earth escape talisman, these residents living in the Aurora land are just ordinary mortals. At this moment, the horrified rock and soil monster let out a bloody roar. Accompanied by the trembling of the earth, it was slowly running towards them. Shock, the love letter was sent to the empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 203. That's, the strange beast cave. It is rumored that there is a cave monster that can emerge from the broken earth, and its body is as huge as a mountain. But no one has heard that there is a way to restrict the earth escape talisman in the cave. You know, for those residents living in the Aurora land, the earth escape talisman is all the means of survival. Looking at the terrifying scene in front of them, everyone's face was pale and they hurriedly wanted to retreat. But that huge body was like a hill, covering the sky and the earth, as if it could make people unable to escape. Every step made the earth tremble and roar. No matter how far you run, you can't get out of its control. The prosperous streets were destroyed in an instant, and countless stalls were trampled into ruins. And those who barely escaped were almost completely filled with fear at this moment. Their legs were weak, and they couldn't run away at all. Or in other words, even if they escaped, it was impossible to escape from such a terrifying existence. Looking at the useless earth escape talisman in his hand, the lips of the old smoothie stall owner trembled slightly. He never thought that after a dull life, he would die in such a place. Not only himself, but also all the tribesmen who lost the protection of the earth escape talisman would probably not be able to escape. Today, everyone present will die here. Bang! The earth shook, and the smoothie stall fell down and scattered all over the ground. The boss looked at the huge shadow, and his eyes were completely filled with fear. But at this moment, 2 figures slowly walked against the flow of people. The boss recognized the 2 figures in an instant. The 2 young people were the loving couple who had just bought smoothies at the stall. The rock cave is an ancient terrifying beast, and even many powerful monks can't deal with it. Young people, run quickly, you are young and strong, maybe there is still a chance to escape. The boss's old face was filled with a bit of despair. He knew that he could not escape, but he did not want Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu, who were so enviable, to die here. Don't worry, boss. But Nai Chen just waved his hand calmly, facing the huge shadow. He seemed to not take it seriously at all. Dare to ruin this emperor's date, I will let you die happily. The date that was enjoying was suddenly interrupted, and Chu Qingyu's eyes were filled with a trace of awe. Raising her slender arms, a dark green aura slowly emerged in her hands. In the dim, the rising momentum spread to the surroundings. Yanku is powerful as an ancient beast, but if it is facing a great emperor, it seems vulnerable. However, before Chu Qingyu's great emperor power was fully released, Nai Chen suddenly stopped her. Pressing Chu Qingyu's arm lightly, Nai Chen shook his head. Wait, wife, there is no need to get rid of him directly. What do you mean? Chu Qingyu was slightly stunned, not understanding why Nai Chen would stop her. No way, who told me that as long as my wife is here, I can easily solve it with just a flick of my finger, without any game experience? This time, I have a good suggestion. Nai Chen smiled slightly. Why don't we use the realm of cultivation today and rely on the power of the flesh to eliminate this beast? This suggestion sounds pretty good. Chu Qingyu's eyes flashed, and she seemed very interested. But she reminded, however, the strength of this beast is almost comparable to the Bahai realm. My body is not strong. If I completely suppress my cultivation, I may not be able to win. This is not easy, don't you still have me, your husband? Nai Chen smiled slightly. Humph, you are just a little Bahai realm. Chu Qingyu snorted proudly. A little Bahai realm can also kiss the lips of the empress. Nai Chen smiled shamelessly. You. Under this situation, Chu Qingyu couldn't continue to bicker with Nai Chen, so she could only snort and turn her head away. But soon, two bamboo swords slowly emerged from her palm, and she handed one of them to Nai Chen. This is a bamboo sword condensed by my Dharma image, and its sharpness is not inferior to that of a heavenly magic weapon. Thank you, my wife. Nai Chen took the bamboo sword. Feeling the faint cool spiritual energy flowing through it, his fighting spirit was immediately high. At the same time, the cave giant beast was already roaring. Although its body was extremely huge, its speed was not inferior at all. The ground it trampled on was all cracked, and everything around it was completely destroyed. But facing this huge body, Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu did not retreat but advanced. Completely sealed all the spiritual energy on his body, and ran forward with only the bamboo sword in hand. Roar! As if it felt that its majesty was despised, the cave giant beast burst into a roar, and its huge legs like pillars stepped down directly. Chu Qingyu jumped into Qingyu, her body was as clear and agile as a swallow, and in a blink of an eye she had jumped into the air. The aurora in the sky shines down. The light green pleated skirt that Chu Qingyu wears flutters in the wind, and her slender jade legs are looming. Under the reflection of the aurora, Chu Qingyu's skin is as white as snow, and as her dress dances lightly, she looks like a white lotus among lotus leaves, delicate and moving. However, although the scene is as beautiful as a fairy, the bamboo sword in her hand is extremely sharp. A sword slashed down, and the chill filled the air. Even though no cultivation realm was used, the sharp aura that emerged from it made people feel cold. Clang! But this sword only left a crack on the rock. Compared with the huge body of the cave, it seemed that no damage was caused. Because no spiritual energy was used, Chu Qingyu's control over herself was slightly unbalanced. As the bamboo sword bounced off, the body fell rapidly under the reaction force. But before it touched the ground, the soft body was gently hugged. Chu Qingyu's clear eyes turned and found that it was Nai Chen who hugged her. Moreover, Nai Chen's hand took the opportunity to be dishonest and pinched the soft flesh on Chu Qingyu's body. You actually. Chu Qingyu stared at Nai Chen with resentment. No way, it's not as easy as it is now to take advantage of others at other times. Nai Chen smiled. You. This time I'll barely forgive you. If there's a next time. Chu Qingyu hesitated, but still forgave Nai Chen with a slightly red face. But everyone who saw the scene was dumbfounded. Although the strength of this couple is indeed amazing. But at such an important moment, can they actually take the time to show their affection without being in a hurry? This is simply a cold and ruthless mobile dog food machine. How outrageous. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 204. Roar. Under the naked provocation, the cave became obviously more furious. The huge body transformed into two sharp claws made of rocks. Everything swept away by it was turned into ruins. But the figures of Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu shuttled back and forth, making it impossible for him to capture them at all. Even though the giant beast in the cave became angrier, there was no way to start. However, without using spiritual energy, even though the bamboo sword is extremely tough, it cannot break through the body of the cave. The tough rock covering his body seemed indestructible and could not be shaken at all. As expected of an ancient beast, there is indeed something transcendent about it. Nai Chen frowned slightly. On the side, Chu Qingyu's breathing had become slightly rapid. The dripping sweat even soaked part of the clothes. The aurora shines down, and a wisp of fragrant sweat slides down the slender jade neck. This scene is truly beautiful. Although one could witness Empress Qingyu being locked in a bitter battle, her unique sight of slightly frowning eyebrows was definitely rare in the world. It was rare for Nai Chen to see Chu Qingyu show weakness. But if this continues, the bet of killing the giant beast without using spiritual power will be lost. Spiritual eye, exploration. Nai Chen's left eye flickered with light, scanning the huge body in the cave. Suddenly, he focused his gaze on the 6 imperceptible eyes of the cave. Although the body is covered with rocks, there seems to be no protection at all outside these 6 eyes. But even though except for the outermost eye of the cave monster, the other 5 eyes are hidden in secret places, they can't escape the capture of the spiritual pupils at all. Nai Chen put his arm lightly on Chu Qingyu's shoulder. A faint aura filled the air in front of Chu Qingyu's eyes, making her see these 6 eyes clearly. I didn't expect the flaw to be here. Chu Qingyu showed a hint of joy. Nai Chen said, the body of the giant beast in the cave is too huge. If you just blind one of them, you probably won't be able to knock it down. It would be best to blind all 6 of his eyes as quickly as possible and let him die completely. Otherwise, I am afraid it will cause more serious consequences. Well, then there are 3 of them per person. I don't believe that there is no way to suppress them without using cultivation. Chu Qingyu nodded, sweat soaking the hair on her temples. There was an unprecedented sense of excitement on that beautiful cheek. This kind of evenly matched situation, where Chu Qingyu had not encountered this situation for a long time, required every effort to defeat the opponent. At this moment, I felt an uncontrollable fighting spirit. The two looked at each other with eyes that showed trust. Immediately afterwards, in an instant, the figures of Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu suddenly flashed. Roar! The huge claws wrapped in the awe-inspiring hurricane swung down, instantly smashing the earth into cracks that spread like spider webs. But on both sides of the sharp claw, the 2 people moved in 2 directions and jumped. In the night sky, 2 emerald green lights flashed, and the bamboo sword pierced down with a chill. Moreover, it is both sides at the same time. Puff! At the same time, 2 eyes exploded. Severe pain suddenly came, and the huge body of the cave shook violently due to pain, and the sharp claws and huge legs kept hitting the ground. But with the remaining strength of its limbs, Nai-Chen and Chu Qingyu jumped up again. Puff. 2 more eyes. The 4 eyes were broken one after another, half of the body in the cave quickly withered, and even the originally seemingly indestructible body was broken and cracked. The roar could not be suppressed at all, and the cave was completely in panic. It hooked the ground with its sharp claws and shook its body desperately. In the constant violent shaking, he tried to throw the 2 people away. The huge shock indeed made it impossible to continue moving, but with his fingers tightly clasping the rocks on the surface of the cave beast, Nai-Chen was not thrown away at all. Looking to the other side, Chu Qingyu inserted the bamboo sword into Cave's body and also hovered above his body. "Honey, get ready to take action," Nai-Chen said. "I see." The corners of Chu Qingyu's mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. This battle, which did not use any spiritual energy, brought her an experience she had never had before. Although it was just a slight smile, the smile was as beautiful as a flower. 3, 2, 1. The voice fell. Suddenly, Nai-Chen and Chu Qingyu exerted their strength at the same time. The 2 figures were as fast as lightning, and with a touch of emerald green sword light, they jumped towards the top. There are the last 2 eyes of the cave beast. It is the largest eye, but also the most vulnerable eye. Roar. It seems that it is aware of the unprecedented danger, and there seems to be a trace of fear and apprehension in the roar of the giant beast in the cave. It trampled the ground desperately, shook its body, and let out a huge roar, trying to block the movement of the 2 people. But the 2 sword blades broke through the overwhelming hurricane in front of them, and came down with a bright emerald green sword light. It is so powerful that it seems to be able to cut off everything in the world. And, there is no way to avoid it. Puff. The green sword light pierced into that eye. Blood burst out, and 2 huge eyes exploded. Endless pain swept over him instantly, and the giant beast in the cave let out an extremely miserable cry. The scarlet eyes kept turning, as if trying to devour Nai-Chen and Chu Qingyu with the last bit of strength. But the rocks on its surface had already begun to break and fall off, shrinking rapidly like a ball. Boom! A violent aftermath shook the surroundings, and the huge body like a hill fell down. Chu Qingyu's figure fell, without the support of spiritual energy, and the speed was getting faster and faster, and she was about to fall to the ground. At this moment, Nai-Chen's figure floated over and gently touched Chu Qingyu in the form of a princess hug. The soft body seemed to be weak and boneless. "You violated the rules and used spiritual energy," Chu Qingyu said. Nai-Chen smiled slightly. "Violate it if you want to. After all, what is more important than the safety of your wife? You." For a moment, Chu Qingyu didn't know how to refute it at all. Or maybe she didn't want to refute it at all. Slowly raised her head, and happened to look into Nai-Chen's eyes. In an instant, Chu Qingyu lowered her head slightly with a little shyness. Under the aurora, the clear eyes seemed as bright and moving as stars. "Look, my wife, the light of the aurora seems to be more dazzling than before." At this moment, Nai-Chen pointed to the distant sky. A streak of aurora passed by, like ink dripping into clear water, spreading brilliantly in the sky. "If you can go deep into the aurora land, you will see it more clearly. Want to go to the depths of the aurora land?" Chu Qingyu's voice was small. "Of course, I still have a Valentine's Day gift for you, my wife." Nai-Chen smiled slightly. "As for the gift, this emperor is also." The voice of this sentence was as thin as a mosquito, but as delicate and lovely as the girl next door. Shock, the love letter was sent to the empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 205. The ground was filled with spiderweb-like cracks, and countless things were destroyed. But the 6 eyeballs of this giant that frightened everyone and caused such a large-scale destruction were all pierced at this moment. The huge body carrying the hard rock shrank even more, and died there. A yellowish-brown beast pill slipped from the body and fell on the ground. When the beast pill touched the ground, it melted into the ground. In the astonished eyes of the people. As the beast pill merged, the cracks in the ground were gradually repaired, and even flowers and plants grew, emitting bursts of fragrance. This is the land of Aurora except for the depths, there is almost no vegetation that can grow here. The residents who witnessed the scene in front of them all showed a trace of astonishment, and were astonished by this magical scene. Let's go. At this moment, Chu Qingyu and Nai Chen looked at each other and nodded. Remove the seal on the body. Suddenly, a spiritual energy swept up, and it actually carried the awe-inspiring power of the great emperor. The two went to the depths of the aurora. With the reflection of the aurora, the back was as bright as a god. This breath. Suddenly, a cultivator from the north felt the majestic breath that was inadvertently revealed. In an instant, their faces changed, and their expressions were filled with incredible astonishment and blurted out. Then, that woman is a powerful emperor. The powerful emperor. Although the northern cultivators near the aurora have not seen the powerful people from far away on the continent with their own eyes, they know how terrifying the power of the powerful emperor is. Originally, seeing the two people kill the giant beast in the cave with a sword without using any magic was enough to make people feel astonished. But at this moment, they completely understood. There is actually a powerful emperor among this loving couple. Seeing the cracks in the ground gradually filled up, the swaying flowers and plants exuded bursts of fragrance. Looking at the two figures going away, the owner of the smoothie stall suddenly felt tears flashing in his turbid yellow eyes. Thank you, both of you. The old man bowed his head and looked into the distance, tears streaming down his face. The other residents living in the Aurora land also bowed down slowly and solemnly. If there were no immortal couple, I am afraid that without the Earth Escape Talisman, countless people would have died under the hands of the cave monster today. It was these two who saved everyone's lives. Respected by the residents of the Aurora land. Respected by the monks in the north. Comprehension add 20, Xiangu Saint Body radiates temperament add 20, skill points add 10. Without paying attention to the scene behind them, Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu went to the depths of the Aurora land. Although they moved forward slowly, there was a chill in the air and flowers and plants gradually appeared on the bare ground. Although the cool and cold breath became more and more intense, the depths of the Aurora land radiated a cool aura. The flower cores floating in the air exuded fragrance, and fireflies danced in the air, emitting colorful light under the reflection of the aurora. As they approached slowly, the scene became more beautiful and moving. Chu Qingyu couldn't help but lean gently on Nai Chen and slowly approached. Even though her delicate body still exuded a bit of coldness as always, it was as soft as cotton candy. This was the first time that Nai Chen saw such a clingy empress. Looking up into the distance, finally, the deepest part of the Aurora land was reached. A mountain full of flowers, and there was no road ahead. The sky seemed to collapse, and the only thing left in front of the passage was the endless black void. However, the aurora flowed slowly, and it actually flowed from the sky into the void, making it no longer dark, but dyed with a layer of beautiful colorful light. So beautiful. Looking at the unique and beautiful scenery in front of her, Chu Qingyu couldn't help showing a hint of excitement. Stopped in front of the hillside, the two sat down slowly. The hillside was full of fragrant flowers and plants, soft as a natural Simmons mattress. Looking at the aurora flowing in the sky, Chu Qingyu's eyes were bright, as if the stars were crystal clear. Not only that. Inadvertently looked at Nai Chen beside him. Under this beautiful scene, with Nai Chen by her side, it made people feel so safe. For a moment, Chu Qingyu's cheeks couldn't help but slightly red. The fingertips inadvertently circled, revealing her unconcealed nervous anticipation. Suddenly, a green aurora passed by the sky. It was as if it was flowing through a clear river, leaving an arc. The green color was very similar to Chu Qingyu's bamboo sword. Under the reflection of the seven-color aurora, the whole sky is as beautiful as a fairyland, which makes people intoxicated. Not only is the scenery beautiful, but there is also a beautiful woman beside. The green long skirt like a lotus leaf is draped on the grass, and the jade-like skin is beautiful under the reflection of the aurora. Chu Qingyu raised her head inadvertently and happened to look into Nai Chen's eyes. In an instant, like a spark passing away, she quickly turned her head away. But under this beautiful aurora, she raised her cheek inadvertently and happened to look into Nai Chen's eyes. At this moment, the air seemed to be frozen. There was only the sound of the breeze blowing across the earth and the fragrance of flowers and plants. The breeze blew, the flowers and plants swayed, the aurora in the sky flowed, and the beautiful woman beside her had a beautiful face like a flower. Nai Chen finally smiled and whispered, "Wife, happy Valentine's Day." This voice lingered in Chu Qingyu's ears. With a hint of blush, there was a hint of shyness on that beautiful face. But Chu Qingyu still nodded, and the corners of her mouth could not help but slightly raised. Her voice was as clear as the valley, but with a bit of shyness. Happy Valentine's Day. The most beautiful aurora, the most moving face. Under the light slowly flowing in the sky, Nai Chen slowly leaned down, pressed his cheek against hers, and kissed her soft cherry lips. Chu Qingyu did not resist, but slowly met him. Under the night sky, they slowly overlapped. It seemed that Nai Chen's attack was too fierce, and Chu Qingyu's beautiful cheeks became more and more red. After finally separating, she covered her slightly wet mouth and glanced at Nai Chen with resentment. "Wife, my kissing skills have improved." Nai Chen couldn't help but smile. Chu Qingyu blushed. How can such a shameful thing be described as improved? You are lying, obviously my wife, your skills have not improved at all. You are worthy of being a great emperor. Not only do you learn other things quickly, but you can also learn this. You. Just when Chu Qingyu was so ashamed and angry that she wanted to save face, Nai Chen suddenly smiled and said, "Wife, this is a Valentine's Day gift for you." At the same time, a dragon roar sounded. In the sky, 9 golden-scaled dragons swam in the aurora. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 206. Roar. Amid the majestic dragon roar, 9 golden dragons covered with golden scales and extremely majestic were circling in the sky, surrounding Nai Chen and Chu Qingyu. As the 9 dragons were circling and dancing, the sky was filled with golden light. Endless majesty drifted around. And in this majesty, there was a faint light shining through the dark sky, which seemed to be mixed with an extremely mysterious breath. Waves of fragrance drifted down, and that breath seemed to come from eternity. It is rumored that the dragon clan has the highest gift, the 9 dragons gift. When the 9 dragons gift is performed, it can attract strange phenomena in the world and be favored by the heavens. Since ancient times, only saints can enjoy such a gift. And since then, no one has seen the 9 dragons gift. Endless mysterious breath drifted down, surrounded by the 9 dragons. Upward, the sky was flowing with aurora, and around it were the majestic golden dragon bodies of the 9 dragons. The mysterious aura of the great Dao emerged, and at this moment, the whole world seemed to be focused here. Looking at the aurora, the mysterious and majestic aura coming from the dragon clan and the heavenly Dao instantly made countless people dumbfounded. What on earth is that? Tianyun Hall. The elders and disciples who suddenly found that the Empress had disappeared looked up at the sky at the same time, their faces full of astonishment. This strong and mysterious aura was something they had never seen or heard of. It is rumored that the Dragon Clan has a 9 dragons ceremony, which can lead to strange phenomena in the world. Could it be that this is the legendary? Elder Wang looked at the sky in astonishment. Although the scene in front of him was exactly the same as what was recorded in the ancient books, what kind of existence in the world could drive the dragon clan to hold the 9 dragons ceremony? And, it happened to be on Valentine's Day. This kind of thing is enough to become a terrifying rumor that shocked the entire Lanchuan continent. When the Empress returns, this shocking event must be reported to the Empress quickly. Not only the Tianyun Palace, the majestic scene in the sky is too eye-catching. At this moment, countless monks from various sects looked at the sky of the Aurora land from afar and were completely stunned. What kind of existence can actually move the celestial phenomena with the 9 dragons gift? Could it be a Valentine's Day gift? Suddenly someone couldn't help but exclaimed. How is it possible? Can't you think? How crazy can someone be able to take out the 9 dragons gift as a Valentine's Day gift? Then who do you think is qualified to use the 9 dragons gift? How can I know? For a while, even if they racked their brains, the various forces that saw the scene could not imagine it at all. Only the Holy Land of Flowers. Looking at the scene in the sky, the pretty face of the Saint of Flowers showed a trace of yearning. But soon, she was so jealous that she wanted to cry without tears. Others may not think of it at all, but she knows it very well. There are only those 2 people in the world who can do such a thing. Take the 9 dragons gift as a gift. The Saint of Flowers never thought that she would hide in the depths of the Holy Land on Valentine's Day in order not to be forced to eat dog food. Unexpectedly, she was forced to eat a lot of dog food just when she looked up at the sky. This is really too much. Saint, what are you doing? The female disciple next to her suddenly saw that the Saint of Flowers covered herself with her golden hair, and asked with concern. This saint doesn't want to see anyone anymore. I'm full of dog food. The Saint of Flowers almost cried. Female disciple. Why do I suddenly feel like I hear the Saint of Flowers crying? Looking at Nai Chen, Chu Qingyu suddenly smiled. Crying? What crying? Probably the crying of eating all-you-can-eat dog food. Then let her cry. Nai Chen couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect that the Saint of Flowers would have this day. But, is this the Valentine's Day gift you prepared? Looking at the sacred and majestic body of the 9 dragons, Chu Qingyu's eyes seemed to be shining with a bright light. Yes, do you like it? Nai Chen said. Well, of course I like it. I never thought that one day I would be able to witness the 9 dragons' great gift with my own eyes. And I am the one who is in it. Chu Qingyu turned away shyly inadvertently. For my wife, this matter is naturally nothing, but... Nai Chen paused for a while and smiled. Since the gift is not bad, don't you plan to give me a reward? What reward? Kiss me. Nai Chen pointed at himself. But, didn't I kiss you just now? Unlike just now, there are still 9 dragons headed by Aolan in the sky now, and Chu Qingyu suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Just now was just now. Besides, I have been taking the initiative for so long, don't you want to take the initiative once, my wife? Nai Chen smiled slightly. But before the voice completely fell, Chu Qingyu's body suddenly moved. Then, soft lips pressed against him. Boom. At the same time, the circling 9 dragons suddenly scattered at the same time. As if to represent the end of the 9 dragons ceremony, a golden crack suddenly appeared in the dark sky. And from this crack, a golden breath slowly floated down. Like a god bathing. Shrouded by the golden light, a continuous stream of pure spiritual energy surged in. Even Chu Qingyu, a powerful emperor, could vaguely feel that she had begun to slowly improve. She had been in the waiting realm for hundreds of years. Chu Qingyu was surprised to find that under this endless and mysterious aura, she was actually unstoppable at the threshold of the final breakthrough. The countless thorns that had been blocking her from entering the Jizhung realm were swept away. The only thing blocking her was the last threshold. This is the 9 dragons' gift, the great fortune of heaven and earth. Slowly separating, Chu Qingyu's slightly blurred eyes showed a hint of surprise. She didn't expect that Nai Chen's Valentine's Day gift would be like this. With his help, she was only one step away from the final breakthrough. Is this Emperor's forced kiss okay? Staring at Nai Chen, Chu Qingyu said faintly with a slightly red cheek. Although Nai Chen smiled, it happened suddenly, I haven't fully felt it yet, how about you do it again, my wife? You. Chu Qingyu hesitated and lowered her head shyly. Actually, I also prepared a Valentine's Day gift for you. But. Putting her lips lightly, Chu Qingyu finally said the embarrassing words. But after receiving the gift, you are not allowed to laugh at me, nor show it to others. Just forget it, it never happened. Shy and not daring to look directly at Nai Chen, Chu Qingyu slowly took out something from her sleeve. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 207. Happy Valentine's Day. Although she was a little shy, Chu Qingyu's gentle voice was very sincere. However, when she stuffed the small wooden box into Nai Chen's hands, she couldn't suppress the shyness in her heart. Ah, I'm going back first. See you later. You are not allowed to laugh at me after you open this wooden box. You must not. A breeze swept by, Chu Qingyu's cheeks blushed, and she quickly fled into the distance. Only Nai Chen was left holding the small wooden box in his hand, a little dazed. Today is indeed a very perfect Valentine's Day. I'm afraid that looking at the entire Lanchuan continent, there is absolutely no second Valentine's Day as sweet as this. But the question is, what did the Empress give? Nai Chen was a little amused. In his impression, Chu Qingyu seemed to have been hesitating about Valentine's Day gifts a long time ago. And judging from the situation, it was not this gift, but it seemed that she was completely embarrassed to give it out. The wooden box was naturally not a dark dish. So, what did the Empress give that made her so shy? Even after thinking for a long time, Nai Chen couldn't figure out the cause and effect. In this case, he could only open it himself and take a look. Nai Chen couldn't help but take away the exquisite little lock with a little expectation and slowly looked into the box. But as the wooden box opened and saw the gift in the box, Nai Chen was stunned for a moment. In the box, it turned out to be ahem. Even Nai Chen, who never intended to hide his identity as an LSP, couldn't help but show a trace of embarrassment. The gift given by the Empress, who seemed to be always cold and proud and untainted by the mundane world, was actually underwear. The blue gauze underwear was not only exquisite and beautiful, but more importantly, it also had a faint fragrance. The slightly cold, lotus-like fragrance was consistent with the faint fragrance on Chu Qingyu's body. The box seemed to have a good heat preservation effect. Holding it in his hand, Nai Chen could even feel the faint residual warmth on the underwear. That is to say, Nai Chen felt a warm sensation in his nose, as if he almost had a nosebleed. That is to say, the Empress wore this underwear specially before putting it in the wooden box as a Valentine's Day gift. Who can resist this? Even he did not expect that Chu Qingyu would give this to him despite her shyness. Although he did not know which LSP taught the Empress to give him this gift, this Valentine's Day was really a happy one. However, he was not a pervert. If possible, he still hoped that the Empress would send him directly, without giving him any clothes. Ahem. Nai Chen quickly put the underwear back into the wooden box, locked it tightly, and put it in the deepest part of the space ring. The light in the sky gradually dimmed, and the strange phenomenon caused by the 9 dragons gift slowly disappeared. But even though it did not exist for a long time, Nai Chen felt as if he was blessed by God and had greatly improved. Roar! 9 dragon roars echoed in the sky, and Aolan and the other dragons turned into human forms and fell to the ground. How about it? I did a pretty good job today. Aolan patted her barren chest proudly. Well, it's really pretty good. I'll reward you with 6 golden dragon carps when we get back. Nai-Chen praised. Hee, you finally know how to praise me. Aolan shook her tail proudly, her little face looked extremely excited. But suddenly, she realized something was wrong. It's not right. We clearly agreed on 10 golden dragon carps before, how come it became 6? You can't deduct my carp. How could that be? Nai-Chen vowed, I think you did a good job and rewarded you more. Isn't 6 more than 10? 6 more than 10? You didn't lie to me, did you? No, I have to count. Aolan showed a trace of suspicion, obviously not believing Nai-Chen. But when she fiddled with her 10 tiny fingers, she counted more and more chaotically. 1, 2, 5, 4, 7, after 7, it should be. Ah, it's too difficult to count, forget it, let's wait until we get back. Finally, Aolan shook her head in confusion and gave up thinking completely. Looking at her silly look, Nai-Chen couldn't help but laugh. Sure enough, this result is exactly what he thought. By the way, what did the Empress give you? Why do I feel that the Empress suddenly became very shy just now, and you are also mysterious? Just then, Aolan came forward with great interest. I won't show it to you. Nai-Chen refused decisively. Why? Could it be something not suitable for children? Hearing this, Aolan instantly showed a hint of shyness, her face turned red, and she covered her eyes with her hands. I can't believe it, I really can't believe it, even the Empress has done this. A child like me can't bear to hear this. You are a child of 200 years old. Nai-Chen knocked her head helplessly. Turning around, he saw the respectful and solemn look of a dragon beside Aolan. I can't believe that you and the Empress are. Several dragons obviously didn't dare to say anything more. Although this matter is about to be announced, don't tell anyone yet, understand? Nai-Chen looked at the dragons and said. Understood, we will definitely not say a word to others. Several dragons hurriedly said solemnly. It's not that they don't want to say it. Nai-Chen, who treats the Dragon King as a pet, and Empress King Yu. The secret between these two beings is so terrifying. If this is told, I'm afraid that my life will be in danger immediately, and even the entire Dragon Palace will be implicated. By the way, Aolan. Nai-Chen took out 2 lollipops from the space ring, handed them to her, and said. These 2 candies are exotic delicacies from another world. Please help me give them to Saint Fanhua and tell her that it's a comfort for her to eat too much dog food on Valentine's Day and help her digest it. As an extra reward, the number of golden carp given to you can be increased from 1 to 7. Originally, Aolan was not willing, but when she heard this, her eyes lit up instantly. It's a big profit, it's really a big profit today. First, it increased from 10 golden carp to 6, and now it's increased by 1 more. In this way, I will make a profit. Make a profit. In short, there are so many. Hee, I didn't expect you to be so generous one day. It seems that Valentine's Day is indeed a good holiday. Aolan said excitedly. Don't worry, since you are so generous this time, I will give you dog food, Pa, let me take care of the dog food for the Saint of Flowers to digest. After that, Aolan turned into a dragon, carrying 2 beautiful candies, and flew excitedly towards the Holy Land of Flowers. After all, after giving these 2 candies, I will have golden carp to eat again. And there are so many. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 208. Strange, where did the saint go? I seemed to see the saint come out just now, how come she suddenly disappeared? Could it be that the saint knows what the strange scene caused by the 9 dragons is? I don't know, But I felt that the saint was a little strange since Valentine's Day was approaching. Strange. Yes, it can't be that Valentine's Day is coming, the saint is also considering the matter of a Taoist partner. It shouldn't be possible. After all, the saint has been single for more than 800 years. I guess she has no interest in it. After saying that, the female disciple felt that it was indeed a bit hurtful and quickly covered her mouth. After all, being single for more than 800 years is a bit embarrassing. Besides, looking around, the female disciple suddenly felt a little bit crying. There is not a single male disciple in the entire Flower Holy Land. Let alone the saint. If I stay here for more than 800 years, I can't find it either. I finally got senior brother Nai Chen here 2 days ago, but he ran away. Damn it, I regret it so much. I missed my only chance to be single. That's right. Maybe if senior brother Nai Chen stayed one more day, I would succeed. While the disciples were discussing, they had no idea that the Saint of Flowers, whom they respected, was hiding in the bedroom at the moment. The Saint of Flowers hid in the flowery and fragrant quilt covering her body, and murmured pitifully. Too much. You two took turns spanking my butt, and then you went to celebrate Valentine's Day happily, leaving me here alone to eat dog food. Too much. I didn't expect King Yu, who has been single for 600 years, to find a Taoist partner, and she still sprinkles candy on me every day. Is Valentine's Day still allowed? Who invented such a hateful holiday? Woo woo woo. The quilt fluttered, and only the sad voice of the Saint of Flowers came out. Obviously she was very sad. Ahem, Saint, I'm here to bring you candy. At this moment, Ao Ian's voice suddenly rang out. She was caught crying alone in the room. She was silent under the quilt for a long time, without making any sound at all, as if she wanted to pretend that she was not there. But... ahem. As Ao Lan coughed twice, Saint Fanhua realized that she could no longer hide it, so she had to gently lift the quilt. Under the moonlight, Ao Lan clearly saw tears in Saint Fanhua's beautiful eyes, which looked extremely pitiful. This scene was really heartbreaking. Even Ao Lan couldn't help but comfort her with some distress. Saint, what's wrong with you? Although you have been single for 800 years, it's just Valentine's Day. It's just watching others show off their affection. Especially seeing Nai Chen showing off his affection to an excessive degree, there's nothing to be sad about. Anyway, you have been single for more than 800 years, so this year won't make a difference at all. Wow. It would have been better if he didn't say anything, but every word of Ao Lan was like a knife stabbing into Saint Fanhua's chest. After hearing what Ao Lan thought was quite suitable for comforting others, she wanted to cover herself with the quilt and continue crying. Saint Fanhua, who was already tearful, almost cried directly. The sacred majesty of the saint was gone. I'm wrong, just pretend I didn't say anything. Ao Lan waved his hand quickly and changed the subject. I came to see you, Saint, to give you a gift on behalf of Nai Chen. Gift. Saint Fanhua wiped the slightly red and swollen corners of her eyes and tried to calm her tone. Yes, Nai Chen said it was an apology for eating too much rations, to help you digest it. Puff. Hearing this, Saint Fanhua was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Ao Lan was completely flustered. As expected. Humans, especially women, even the emperors, have weirder thoughts than each other. I'll leave the candy, Saint, have a good rest, don't cry anymore. Ao Lan felt relieved after leaving the candy, thinking that there were 7 golden carps to eat when she returned, and immediately jumped away excitedly. Too much, too much. Stretching out her slender arms from the quilt, Saint Fanhua took the candy. Valentine's Day, why is there such a hateful festival in the world? Tearing the candy skin in anger, she stuffed the candy into her mouth angrily. But when she held it in her mouth, the look of the Saint of Flowers froze slightly. So sweet. She couldn't help but say two words. The bright moonlight shone down, and the look of the Saint of Flowers changed slightly. She had eaten all kinds of candies in the world, but this candy wrapped in a strange skin had a completely different taste from anything she had tasted. Sweet, as if it was sweet to the heart. Is this a Valentine's Day gift? Even if it is a Valentine's Day gift, I will not forgive you. Humph, idiot. The clear eyes of the Saint of Flowers slowly turned. Under the moonlight, she lay on the bed and tasted the candy in her mouth, and her beautiful cheeks were inadvertently with a smile. The corners of her mouth were slightly raised, and at this moment, even the Saint of Flowers didn't know why she laughed accidentally. And, the smile was so sweet. It was already night time, and all the disciples of Tianyun Hall were feeling somewhat nervous. No one knows why the Empress suddenly opened up today's Valentine's Day and said that she would decide on the Valentine's Day in the future based on the observation situation. But everyone tried hard to show themselves. They wanted to prove to the Empress that the Taoist couple was not as bad as they imagined, and Valentine's Day was also a very important holiday. But for a whole day, no one saw the Empress, and no one knew whether the Empress was observing. Or maybe the Empress had already frozen in the dark and saw everything. The dark night sky was completely different from the dark mountains and forests around it. Beautiful lanterns were hung on the Tianyun Hall, and exquisite decorations were displayed. But as time passed, everyone couldn't help but feel a little nervous. Empress, Valentine's Day is almost over. What do you think about today's situation? Inside the hall, Elder Wang walked in respectfully, fearing that any wording would cause problems. He could feel the changes in the Empress, but because of this, Elder Wang found that he was increasingly unable to guess the Empress's thoughts. Several passing disciples accidentally heard the conversation in the hall, and they immediately became quiet, looking at the hall with great expectation. Time passed by little, and every minute and every second seemed to pass very long. After all, no one knew what the Empress really thought about Valentine's Day today. That beautiful face had an inviolable cold feeling. Facing Elder Wang's question, Chu Qingyu finally spoke slowly. From now on, Tianyun Hall will no longer restrict the holding of Valentine's Day. As soon as this was said, not only Elder Wang, but all the famous disciples who heard this were stunned. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 209. Asshole. That night Chen. Looking at the ruins all over the ground, Emperor Feiyu was instantly furious, and his body was filled with endless murderous intent. The entire sky castle was completely destroyed, the dragon blood formation exploded, and there were only a few people left, and all of them were seriously injured. Kneeling on the ground, several people desperately begged. Emperor Yu, it's not that we are not good at guarding, he is obviously from outside the Holy Land, and no one knows why that Nai Chen has a six-winged sky feather. Waste. Emperor Feiyu's eyes were filled with blood, and he stomped heavily on the ground, and bloodstains spread all around. Seeing the blood-colored lines climbing onto their bodies, the eyes of the few people who had finally survived were filled with fear. An inexplicable chill filled their hearts, and they kept begging in fear. Emperor Yu, please don't kill us. Although the castle has been destroyed, we can still serve you and do more for you. Puff. However, without giving them any chance, the bloody lines were instantly engraved on their skin, sucking them into dried human bodies. The bodies fell to the ground and broke into pieces. You have disrupted my plans again and again, Nai Chen, I will personally tear you into pieces. Emperor Feiyu roared furiously. Gritting his teeth, he looked at a figure slowly emerging behind him, his eyes filled with madness. Yushin, we have been preparing for so long, we should finally start. Okay, after so long of preparation, the dragon blood formation has been basically arranged. It's just that it may take some time to awaken it. It's a pity that he was stopped by that kid, otherwise, as long as the 2-7 source flowers were destroyed, the Flower Holy Land would definitely fall into chaos and collapse without attack. Emperor Yushin said coldly, and in his tone, it seemed that he didn't take the Flower Holy Land and Tianyun Palace seriously at all. So what, even if we didn't destroy the Flower Holy Land first? With all our strength, plus that existence, it would be easy to slaughter the Sky Cloud Palace and the Flower Holy Land. I've waited for so long, and I can finally avenge myself. Nai Chen, Queen Qingyu, none of you can survive. This time, I will wipe out the entire Sky Cloud Palace and make them pay for what they have done. Emperor Fiiu's voice became more and more crazy. Not only in his eyes, but also on the 5 wings behind him were strange blood-colored patterns. In that cold and strange aura, Emperor Fiiu had completely fallen into madness, shaking the mountains and the earth like a madman, venting his anger. Although Emperor Yushin on the side was indifferent and speechless, a faint cold murderous intent swept around his body. It's time to settle the shame of the 3 emperors fighting Queen Qingyu. The Sky Cloud Palace can't be arrogant for a few days. It won't be long before Empress Qingyu's death comes. A bloody smell swept through the quiet forest. The leaves and flowers withered instantly in the strange blood mist, and the animals ran as far as they could, trying to leave. But most of them were swallowed by the blood mist that followed, and their flesh and blood turned into dry bones, and their death was extremely miserable. However, the cold blood and death still floated in the woods. From now on, Valentine's Day is allowed. When hearing this news, all the disciples of Tianyun Hall were excited. Although the Empress did not mention whether to allow Taoist couples, allowing Valentine's Day to be held has set a precedent in Tianyun Hall. No one knows why the Empress made such a move, but they were excited to find that the Empress, who was always proud, seemed to have really changed slowly. Thank you, Empress. Thank you, Empress. No one had any objection to this decision. Whether it was the disciples or the elders, their respect for the Empress deepened. Every step taken by the Empress seemed to be to understand the Dao and perfect herself. Such an Empress deserves admiration. There were still 2 hours left before the end of Valentine's Day. The originally silent Tianyun Palace seemed to come alive again. The whole Tianyun Palace was in a frenzy of cheers under the bright lights. Under the moonlight, the lights shone in the night sky, revealing a unique atmosphere of joy. And no one knew that at this moment, in the bedroom, looking at the bright moon in the sky, Chu Qingyu was a little absent-minded. It seemed that she regretted throwing Nai Chen away because the gift she gave was too embarrassing. After all, there were still 2 hours left on Valentine's Day and it was wasted so easily. Ah! The moonlight shone into the cold bedroom, and a soft sigh like the sound of nature came from inside. There was a trace of regret and unwillingness in the lament. How could a fairy lament alone in such a beautiful scene? Just then, a voice suddenly sounded. Then, a foot stepped into the bedroom. Chu Qingyu raised her head, and a fleeting joy appeared on her beautiful face. But she quickly hid it and pretended to be cold and said, "Why are you here? Of course I can't bear to see you, my wife, sitting alone in the bedroom and lamenting." Nai Chen smiled. Who lamented? Otherwise, who made that ah sound? It's not me. Chu Qingyu's eyes dodged. Nai Chen had already walked into the bedroom and lay on the soft bed. Wife, it's finally Valentine's Day, how about I sleep here tonight? Nai Chen originally made a tentative joke with this sentence. But unexpectedly, Chu Qingyu also lay on the bed, and lay beside Nai Chen. If you want, sleep here tonight. After all, when it comes to the question of Valentine's Day gifts, Chu Qingyu's cheeks immediately flushed and remained silent. There was a bit of unspeakable shyness between her eyes. Even Nai Chen was a little surprised. But who would refuse to sleep in the same bed with the Empress for a night? Through the curtains, A ray of moonlight shone down, reflecting on Chu Qingyu's fairy-like face. Nai Chen got closer. "Wife, the bedroom is too cold, can I use you as a pillow?" You are asking for more." Hearing this strange request, Chu Qingyu's heartbeat obviously accelerated. But the jade hand gently touched Nai Chen's chest, without using any strength at all. The soft body leaned gently in his arms, which was much softer and more comfortable than a pillow. Moreover, it was accompanied by a slightly rapid and hot breath, and bursts of cool fragrance. Such a pillow, I'm afraid, can't be found in the whole world. The hair was scattered, and the body was soft. Holding it in his arms, this Valentine's Day was simply the most perfect Valentine's Day in the world. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 210. The next day, facing the early morning light, Nai Chen walked out of the room. That night, I slept as soundly as ever. As the rumors say, the Emperor's body does indeed exude a mysterious aura that is in line with the rhythm of heaven. But unlike those who were satisfied just standing next to the Emperor, Nai Chen directly held the Empress in his arms and slept all night. After being bathed in the Emperor's breath for a night, the fragrant orchid scent still lingers in Nai Chen's breath. Not only that. Nai Chen bent his fingers and coughed slightly. With a peerless beauty like Empress Qingyu sleeping next to her, no man would be able to resist. Naturally, he took the opportunity to eat a lot of tofu from his wife. Although the more extreme things were not successful, perhaps because of Valentine's Day, Chu Qingyu did not resist some of the tofu eating behaviors. Recalling the excellent hand feeling that was unique in the world, Nai Chen couldn't help but sigh, last night was really a wonderful night. Moreover, my wife's tolerance seems to be much looser than before. Turning around, Nai Chen happened to see Chu Qingyu walking out of the palace with slightly red cheeks. As soon as he saw him, he immediately put his hands around his chest, as if he was afraid that Nai Chen would secretly attack him again. "Don't worry, my wife, I'm not a beast. This kind of thing should be done slowly when I return to the palace at night." Nai Chen smiled slightly. Being recalled by Nai Chen, Chu Qingyu couldn't bear the shame and anger. She stepped forward and grabbed the flesh of Nai Chen's waist and twisted it gently. "Tell me, how much tofu did you secretly eat while I was sleeping last night?" The Emperor's gentle twist was completely different from ordinary people's gentle. Even Nai Chen gritted his teeth in pain. "Honey, believe me, I have taken advantage of so many billions, only billions." "Humph, forget it." Chu Qingyu took back her hand and snorted softly. Looking at Chu Qingyu's arrogant expression, Nai Chen couldn't help but smile. As a powerful emperor, how could Chu Qingyu not know that she was taking advantage when she fell asleep? She just didn't think about rejecting him at all. Maybe this is the legendary desire to refuse but still obey. However, this time when we went to the Holy Land of Flowers, the Saint and I discovered that Emperor Feiyu might be ready to take action. Nai Chen's expression gradually showed a hint of seriousness, and he told the story of going to the Holy Land of Flowers with some deletions. After all, there was no way to talk about the fact that the female disciples took turns sending love letters, and it was better to hide the fact that the Blossom Saint Maiden fell into the water. "You mean, Emperor Feiyu built a castle in the sky that could even block the Emperor's entry, and used the dragon blood formation to destroy one of the 7 source flowers in the Flower Holy Land." After hearing what happened, Chu Qingyu's face gradually turned cold. The dragon blood formation seems to have become more and more perfect, and now that they have begun to attack Flower Holy Land, I am afraid that it is a precursor to preparing for war with Tianyun Palace. It seems that this war between the great emperors is already here. But, regardless of how many great emperors he is, since he dares to covet Tianyun Palace, I will make him lose his soul. As Chu Qingyu spoke, a cold aura radiated from her body. That is the invisible might of the great emperor. Even though she might face two great emperors and the remnant forces of Emperor Lei Yan at the same time, Chu Qingyu did not feel the slightest fear. On the contrary, he carried an even more majestic look. This is Empress Qingyu. No matter how powerful the opponent she faces, she will never back down. By the way, which Qiwan flower was destroyed in the Holy Land of Flowers? Chu Qingyu suddenly asked. Nai Chen replied, it is the love flower among the Qiwan flowers. Love flower. Chu Qingyu's expression changed slightly. I heard that love flowers can affect people's emotions, making people extremely eager to fall in love and find a spouse. Its effect is not even inferior to that of extremely high-grade love potions. If that's the case, are you hiding something from me? Chu Qingyu smiled slightly, but there was something obviously wrong with the smile at the corner of her mouth. It even makes people feel a little cold. There are only female disciples in the Blossom Holy Land, and with their level of cultivation, most of them should not be able to escape the influence of love flowers. If you want to reverse the effects of love flowers, even the flower saint maiden may be affected. So, Nai Chen, you shouldn't be hiding anything from me. Hiss. Looking at Chu Qingyu's squinting eyes and subtle smile, Nai Chen instantly felt a chill coming from behind. He never thought that his wife was actually an extremely keen detective. Can you detect this? Ahem, my dear, please believe me. To avoid any misunderstanding, I didn't say that the flower saint had fallen into the water and wet herself to enchant me. Phew, it's the reason why the Blossom Saint Maiden still adheres to her Taoist heart even though she accidentally fell into the water. Nai Chen suddenly realized that it was like jumping into the Yellow River. In this case, no matter how much you wash it, it won't be able to be cleaned. The war is about to begin. I also want to discuss the way of cultivation with other disciples. Wife, please take a rest first. Nai Chen could only cough lightly in embarrassment and immediately ran out of the palace. In front of the holy elephant of the empress, there were many disciples who were practicing seriously. The strength of Tianyun Palace is really strong, and most of its disciples are outstanding people from all over the world. But the behavior of Emperor Fiyu and Emperor Yushin was extremely strange, and I don't know what secrets they hid. This battle is probably unpredictable and extremely difficult to predict. Nai Chen flew above the statue of the Empress, and suddenly a burst of endless lightning appeared on his body. Accompanied by the roar of thunder, the sky gradually darkened, and dark clouds slowly gathered. Brother Nai. Many disciples looked up at the sky and exclaimed in surprise. According to the latest intelligence, the war between the two emperors will probably come soon. Before that, I hope you can improve your strength as soon as possible and contribute your own efforts to the Empress. Although Nai Chen's words were short, they instantly caused an uproar. This moment is finally coming. 100 years ago, the three emperors joined forces to besiege the Empress, which had long been engraved in the hearts of many disciples. They all wanted to avenge this vengeance. For the Empress, him. So what if there are two emperors? We must avenge the vengeance of that day. The boiling sound continued to ring. At this moment, endless lightning flashed from Nai Chen's body. Thousands of lightning flashes split down, splitting with the veins of the Bodhi leaf, and gathered on each disciple. The disciples were bathed in the lightning, and their auras rose step by step. As Nai Chen raised his palm, the disciples of Tianyun Hall, who were bathed in lightning, advanced and retreated. Covered with terrifying thunder, he looked like a soldier sent from heaven. His aura was majestic and majestic. In this battle, Tianyun Hall was determined to win. Shock, the love letter was sent to the Empress by mistake. Author, Mozuzi. Chapter 211. Being admired by all the disciples of Tianyun Hall. Feeling the benefits of thousands of thunder methods differentiation feedback. Comprehension * 20%, cultivation greatly increased, and the degree of comprehension of the skills greatly improved. While Nai Chen was bearing the endless feedback, the disciples bathed in the light of lightning were also excited to observe their own changes. Not only was the aura full of his body as if it was about to burst out, even those who had never learned thunder methods could use thunder methods far beyond their original strength. One advance and one retreat, one attack and one defense, its power was far better than before. Under Nai Chen's control, the disciples of Tianyunhal were in good order, just like an elite army. Empress, Nai Chen seems to want to train these disciples. Elder Wang came to Chu Qingyu and reported. Let him go, you can pass this matter on, if there are other disciples who want to join in, it's fine. Chu Qingyu nodded slightly. Yes. The dark clouds were spreading, and more disciples of Tianyunhal joined in. Under Nai Chen's training, they seemed like soldiers sent from heaven, and their solemnity was terrifying. The diffuse lightning almost illuminated the entire sky. Even the nearby sects also felt the majestic momentum, and all looked towards the direction of Tianyunhal in shock, completely unable to understand what was going on. What on earth is Tianyunhal doing? Thunder roared, and thousands of thunders flashed. Seeing the strength of the disciples rising steadily, it was not until half a day later that Nai Chen finally took back the thunder. The sky gradually cleared up, shining with dazzling light. Observing their own changes again, all the disciples were delighted. Not only did their strength improve temporarily when bathing in the lightning, but the enviable benefits have not dissipated. The strength and comprehension of many people, and even the tempered bodies, have all been permanently improved. What kind of magical spell is this? It actually improved my realm that had been stagnant for 10 years. Thank you, senior brother Nai. My body, which has been weak for so many years, has reached this level after being tempered. What did senior brother Nai do with this thunder method? My Yang Qi, he is finally back. Having such a great opportunity, shouts came one after another, and the disciples were obviously excited. Not only are they excited about improving their strength, but relying on this magical thunder method, even when facing the two emperors, Tianyunhal will have more confidence. Admired by all disciples. Absorbing feedback from the thunder method. Comprehension * 60%, cultivation has increased significantly, and the degree of comprehension of the technique has increased significantly. Originally, Nai Chen wanted to improve the strength of the disciples of Tianyunhal before the war, but he didn't expect that all the feedback he received would be even greater. But at this moment, two thunderous sounds suddenly sounded. Two more thunderbolts struck the originally clear sky, one red and the other emerald green. The lightning seemed to contain extremely powerful spiritual energy and endless mysterious aura. The red and green thunderbolts seemed to tear the sky into two cracks. On Nai Chen's body, a mysterious and infinite aura also floated. The disciples looked at the strange scene in front of them in astonishment, not knowing what happened. Elder Wang, who had once been obsessed with the way of alchemy, turned pale in an instant. This thunderbolt and aura, Nai Chen has reached the 7th grade alchemist and weapon refiner at the same time. He was stunned on the spot. The last time he saw Nai Chen reach the 6th grade, Elder Wang already felt that his brain was not enough. You know, without those magical secrets of the ancient times, even the 6th grade alchemists and weapon refiners are extremely rare, and have a very high status in the Lanchuan continent. As for the 7th grade, it is even rarer. Let alone the rumors, even if he heard about it, Elder Wang only heard some completely unreliable rumors. What is the level of being a 7th grade weapon refiner and alchemist at the same time? Elder Wang has no idea how to describe it in words. This is no less than an additional 100,000 troops for the Tianyun Palace. Empress. Elder Wang looked at Chu Qingyu in astonishment, but found that Chu Qingyu was just watching everything calmly. It seems that she had expected this. Should we say that the Empress is indifferent or that she knows Nai Chen too well? Elder Wang is completely unclear about which one it is. Congratulations to the host for being promoted to a 7th grade weapon refiner. Congratulations to the host for being promoted to a 7th grade alchemist. The system voices sounded one after another, and Nai Chen was also slightly stunned. 7th grade. There are extremely few rumors about 7th grade alchemists and weapon refiners in Lanchuan continent. It seems that he really picked up a treasure. There are very few rank 7 alchemists in the world. If I can refine some precious elixirs. Wife, give me an alchemy furnace. Nai Chen came to Chu Qingyu and said. Alchemy furnace. Nai Chen replied, yes, the higher the rank, the better. Chu Qingyu reached out and grabbed a little alchemy furnace from the void. The lantern was engraved with fire phoenix patterns, and it was obviously of extraordinary rank. This is the magic weapon I used when I was learning alchemy before, but the elixirs I refined are always a bit weird. Except for the poison pill, which has a much better effect than ordinary people, the other elixirs I refined, no matter what they are, seem to be poisonous. Several times, he almost poisoned several holy emperors who were testing elixirs. Recalling the past, Chu Qingyu seemed to have a trace of pure doubt on her cheeks, and she felt a little silly. Nai Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turns out that my wife is not only poisonous in cooking, but also has the same talent in making alchemy. You must be careful no matter what in the future, don't eat what she made by mistake. Otherwise, the system may not be saved. Don't worry. If you want to take the elixir in the future, just leave it to your husband to refine it. Nai Chen smiled slightly, took the alchemy furnace, and headed towards the back mountain. What is senior brother Nai doing? I see that senior brother Nai borrowed an alchemy furnace from the Empress. Could it be that he is going to make elixirs? But I have never seen senior brother Nai learn alchemy. While the disciples were puzzled, Elder Wang's expression became even more astonished. Is it possible that Nai Chen, who has never been exposed to alchemy before, can really refine the elixir? He couldn't believe it, and he didn't want to believe it at all. But looking towards the back mountain, Elder Wang could clearly see a wisp of smoke rising, which was the fireworks of the alchemy furnace. Nai Chen, I'm afraid he has already started refining the elixir. Just when Elder Wang was hesitant and many disciples were looking into the distance at the same time. Suddenly, a fragrant smell filled the entire mountain top. That mysterious fragrance. It turned out to be a symbol of the rich fragrance emitted by extremely high-level elixirs.